Test, 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 test.
Okay, Ben? Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, let's go, people. Good evening, everyone. Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment regular meeting is now in session. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice published in the Home News and Tribune on January 20, 2022, and has been posted in the main lobby of the municipal complex on January 5, 2022. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Cassandra.
Mr. Ayat?
Here.
Ms. Shaw?
Present.
Mr. Chabra?
Here.
Mr. Skibar?
Here.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
Mr. Barone?
Here.
Mr. Dave?
Here.
And Chairwoman Federick.
Here. Thank you, Cassandra. One announcement. Case number 5, the Plaza at Light Bridge. The last time it was on, there was a lot of back and forth as to when it was going to be carried. So just to make sure everybody is aware of it, we put it back on the agenda to show that it is in fact carried to September 20, 2022 with no renotice required. Okay, we'll start our meeting as usual with my little summary. I've been reading this summary since last summer, which is now a year, prior to the meeting, so that the public will be more informed as they watch the meetings or are here in person. Because there have been so many misconceptions as to this board, that is, as to how it operates, including what it may and may not consider, and its procedures in hearings. We are all volunteers and do not get paid. We are also appointed by council. We all have to attend a state training course, and we have our own in-house session when it is deemed necessary and appropriate. Naturally, during the beginning of COVID, we were not able to do any in-house training. This year, we have already had one. As I have said at prior meetings, the municipal land use law is the legal Bible by which this board operates, along with its own bylaws. This board differs greatly from the planning board. This board is quasi-judicial, that it is like a court and its members like judges, and its impartiality rules and necessity to address matters are in accordance with laws that are the same statewide, not only in our town. Being impartial means board members are not to discuss the matter with the public until the matter is being heard at a meeting. The board has always and continues to proceed in the following manner. All matters concerning an application are not addressed by this board until the applicant's case is presented at a meeting. The board engages in no discussions and receives the applicant's submissions only days prior to the applicant's scheduled date. When the applicant has presented its testimony and evidence, the public portion is open to residents within 200 feet of the subject property, then those outside of 200 feet of the property. Each person is given only one chance to speak. All public are sworn in and subject to cross-examination by the applicant, the board, and board professionals. The public may ask questions to the applicant and their experts and board professionals. The law allows me as chair to stop anyone from being repetitive in their objections or to attempt to filibuster the board. Such redundancy in conduct prevents the efficient operation by the board. By law, as chair, I'm also permitted to stop anyone from speaking if what they are saying is irrelevant to the case and prohibited from the board's consideration. I am also permitted to restrict all public comment to a time frame considered reasonable, which I have limited to 5 minutes in the past and reserve that right. Giving objectors 5 minutes each to speak has been upheld as a reasonable time in a decision of the New Jersey Superior Court Appellate Division. I am not required to tolerate disruption or disrespect to the board. Once the public portion is closed, that is when I hit the gavel, it is closed and no one from the public will speak again. It will not be reopened under any circumstances unless new testimony is provided in the matter. The applicant has the right of summation and the board then votes. This has been the procedure of this board for more than 20+ years, and its procedure or similar procedures are followed by every zoning board in the state of New Jersey. The board has an obligation to engage in a balancing act, and it is not required to strictly apply the township ordinances, zone plan, or the master plan, which is permitted by the municipal land use law. This is statewide conduct by all boards of adjustment. As the name of the board suggests, we are a board of adjustment, adjustment being the operative word. Variances are granted when appropriately necessary, following all legal considerations. So with that said, Cassandra, can you call the first case, please?
Yes, case number Z25-2022, Aditya Sengupta, 23 Sonia Court, Edison, New Jersey, 08820, Section 37, 63, 1, 7, 10, 16, bulk and use or D variances to construct a 17-foot by 10-foot sunroom in the rear of the existing single-family dwelling. Rear yard setback required is 60 feet, proposed is 25 feet. Max lot coverage permitted is 40%, proposed is 50%. Max FAR permitted is 25%, proposed is 34%. Affected property is located in the RA zone designated as block number 427, lot number 129 on the Edison Township tax map. All paperwork is in order.
Good evening, Mr. Wiley.
On this property. You'll see in our presentation from our planner, this is a very oddly shaped lot and a very undersized lot, even though this subdivision was granted in 1999. I'm going to have two witnesses today. The first will be the architect, who will describe the structure that we intend to erect onto the deck. And secondly, we would have our planner testify as to the rationale for granting such a variance. So at this point, I'd like to call forward our architect.
Sure.
If you could give your name, you're going to be sworn in.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
If you could speak into the microphone.
Yes, I do.
Hold on.
Yeah, get a little closer.
Yep.
No, it might not be
Oh,
on.
maybe it's not even on. Ah,
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and state your full name for the record, spelling it, please.
Yeah, Lawrence Serangle, Serangle Architects.
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Strangle, what licenses do you possess with the state of New Jersey?
I have my architecture license, which I received in 1984.
And have you provided testimony before other planning boards and zoning boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
And were you,
we'll accept this qualification.
thank you. If you could describe what the proposal is in the way of this sunroom.
Yes, the sunroom is a very open kind of structure. It's actually manufactured by Living Space Sunrooms. It's a component structure, primarily all glass with a slightly gabled roof that attaches to the back of the house, built on a wood deck framing structure that's in line with the existing deck of the house. It basically has sliding glass doors and open windows throughout the whole facade and a shingled roof.
What sort of utilities will the room have?
There will be no mechanical HVAC utilities. It's a three-season sunroom, but there will be just a ceiling fan in there and just some basic code-compliant outlets along the walls.
Is there any other features?
Pretty much, it's a very nice, simple addition to the back of the house. You know, pretty much located in the center of the house that connects the existing home and just.
And approximately how much of the existing deck does this sunroom take?
The sunroom will take up approximately 180 square feet. It's 10 by 18. So it's actually stays within the line of the existing deck. It does not go beyond it. It stays within the front line portion.
I have no further questions to the witness.
Okay, I'll ask, does the board have any questions of the architect? Yes, Mr. DeBay.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Your drawing A3, some of the numbers that you have are in centimeter, I guess?
What tends to happen is the draftsman that does the work expresses in inches. He's from England. I keep telling him to convert over.
This is trying to confuse us or what?
I constantly have my calculator out because he refuses to do. But it does work in feet and inches.
Listen, I understand that I can divide by 30 centimeter and I can get it.
Oh, there's no centimeters here. Everything's inches.
All right, so that's one question. Second question is this existing deck there, you are beefing up the deck, the floor?
Oh, no, we're carefully removing the existing deck to build a new structure with new piers, sonotube footings, and girders to support the deck. Then we attach it to the existing deck.
So you're going to do the new footings there?
Correct.
And I see, and then you're putting new 2x10s
That's right, yes.
just underneath the new sunroom.
Correct.
And then the floor level will be same as the existing deck.
Right, we match it up. You know, there'll be a saddle between the
And
deck
the
and
reason
the...
you're trying to put the sunroom in the center of the deck and not one corner?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
The sunroom, are you putting in the middle of the deck?
Yeah, it's actually, if you look at the
You're
site plan,
dividing the deck into three parts.
it's to the left of the existing deck, but we wanted to make the sunroom be centered on the house. This way we kept it in as far as possible from the side yards.
So you're going to have steps on both the remaining deck?
Yes, there are steps to get to each side.
And where does your mechanicals and heating system going for the sunroom?
Oh, there'll be no mechanical system at all.
Nothing, just the fan?
Right, it's a three-season room with a ceiling fan. If you look at drawing E-1, if you have that, there's a ceiling fan right in the center of the space.
So no HVAC involved, just the glass structure?
That's correct, yeah.
Just electric.
Yeah, electric outlets along the wall.
Okay,
And
it has
outside
the-
light switches or outlets so you can see when you're walking down the steps.
So it has the windows all three sides?
That's correct. Yeah.
So it's an enclosed envelope structure?
Yes,
Okay.
with sliding glass door.
All right. Only question I have is just because it's a small lot and you're a little more exceeding than for your lot coverage and FAR,
Right.
would you consider to bring it down to 15 by 10 instead of 10, 12 by 10 instead of 17 by 10?
Let's see.
Little smaller so that you can be
Right.
within
So
the reasonable.
you'd rather see it project out more, but not be as long? So
You want to make it, squeeze it from 18 to 13 probably?
that's something I think maybe we should ask the client.
Can
That's his
you?
preference. My feeling is, sir, that even though it's 10 foot deep, by being in line with that existing deck, it's kind of streamlined.
I'm fine with 10 foot. I'm not squeezing there. I'm trying to squeeze from 18 to
Right, you want
13. Correct.
so we would lose 5 feet.
You bring your FAR down and your lot coverage down.
Well, why don't we reserve on that question? I'll have to ask the client at the end of the hearing.
Yeah, I think the client and also our site planner would be more conducive, in terms of that request to answer that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, madam.
Is the client here?
The client is here, yes.
Yes.
You want to have dialogue with the client privately? You want to talk to him?
Well, why don't we put on the planning part of it, because I think that may alleviate some of the concerns.
And let me see if anyone else has any questions, Mr. Wiley. Does anyone else? Yes, Mr. Skibar?
Just, I guess in regards to that FAR, just how undersized is this lot for that zone?
We're going to give you all that testimony.
From the planner.
Okay, fine, okay. Anyone else have any questions for the architect? Okay, let's go to planning. Planning.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilder?
Mr. Wilder, you've already got your hand raised. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
Sure. Matthew Wilder, Wilder. I'm a licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm also a certified floodplain manager and certified municipal engineer, and I have been before this board on numerous occasions.
I was just going to say you're very well trained because you've been here before, and we'll accept your qualifications.
Thank you very much. So I do have one exhibit that I'll mark this evening, and that is the filed map that Mr.
Mark it as A1 for the record.
And that is the filed map from Christie Acres subdivision from 1999 on the top, and the property has been highlighted in red, and I can bring it closer if you have a tough time seeing it.
Yeah.
Sure. And then
Yes,
the
most
bottom
definite.
the bottom is an aerial from June of 2022. Again, the property highlighted in red, so I'll bring it up and mark it.
Mr. Wilder, if I just may, I'm just going to ask a question to our board secretary. Do we have a copy? Okay, so that's something
No, I
we're
don't.
going to need. We're just going to need a copy that's sent to her.
For the A1, we'll leave it with her tonight.
Well, I need a smaller copy for the file.
We want a smaller
Yeah,
copy.
so
Yeah, and
a PDF is fine if
Yeah,
you
we'll
send
send
it.
it.
Wiley, you got to be
digitized
careful
copy.
where you put it
Thank
because they have to pick it up on the camera. Ben, is that okay? It's still okay? Okay, great. Yeah, yeah.
I'll only reference this for a moment.
Okay.
So before speaking to the individual variances, I'll just give sort of a very brief history of the property. So the property is 23 Sonia Court. It's lot 129 and block 427. The lots were, again, created as part of the Christie Acre subdivision in June of 1999. And what you'll notice when you look at the filed map is that this is an irregularly shaped property, which is a result of the cul-de-sac bulb. The bulb is offset, so the actual bulb is not centered on the road. It actually protrudes into this lot quite a bit. Aside from it being irregularly shaped, it's also undersized. So the property's in the RA zone, which requires 20,000 square feet, and it has 10,800. So it's pretty close to being 50% undersized. And then for a point of comparison, it happens to be the smallest lot that was created by this subdivision. The next smallest lot, which is in the top left of that plan of the filed map, is 11,868 square feet. So this lot is the smallest by almost 10%, which is sort of what's causing the issue here. So there's a wood deck in the rear of the home, and the applicant intends to put a sunroom on top of that existing wood deck, removing a portion of it and building sort of an indoor and outdoor space. So it does require 3 variances. The first is a rear yard setback. 60 feet is required and 25 feet is proposed. The next is lot coverage. 50% is proposed, where only 40% is permitted. And then lastly, we are seeking a floor area ratio variance, which is a D4 variance, for 25% FAR permitted and 34% is proposed. For a comparison of existing conditions, the rear yard setback for the home is existing at 35 feet. The existing lot coverage is 48.4%. Again, we're proposing 50, so a 1.6% increase. And an FAR 32.6 exists, and we're proposing 34. So again, 1.4%. So we're not seeking the variance under the hardship variance criteria. An applicant is not automatically entitled to a sunroom, but I think it's important to note the challenges or the difficulty associated with this property when you compare the zoning requirements to not only the size of the property, but the irregular shape of the property. And that was the reason that I had included the aerial underneath the filed map. If you'll sort of go left on the same side of Sonia Court as the subject property, you'll see significantly more usable rear yards on the property. Because of the offset of the cul-de-sac bulb, this house had to be set very far into the property. So what you end up having is more sort of front yard area and less rear yard area. That is really triggering these variances, that along with the undersized nature of the property. So I'll first address the bulk variances, which are, again, lot coverage and rear yard setback. So 40:55D 70C2 states when appeal relating to a property would advance the municipal land use law, and furthermore, the benefits of the deviation substantially outweigh the detriment, a variance can be granted. So from a lot coverage standpoint and a rear setback standpoint, I don't really see a detriment when you consider the factors impacting this property. From a lot coverage standpoint, some of the typical issues you see with lot coverage will be really stormwater runoff. So there is an inlet located within an easement on the property immediately to the rear of this property that connects to the storm sewer within Colasandro Court. So any additional runoff, again, for 1.4%, it will be certainly minor, is pretty much immediately captured and conveyed underground. So there will be no impact from a stormwater standpoint. The rear yard setback variance, the concern would be that it feels like it's on top of the adjacent property. I think by having a true sunroom that is fully glassed, sliding glass doors, it doesn't have the feeling as if it was a one-story addition. You're talking about a structure that's only 9.8 feet tall at the highest point, that's fully enveloped in glass. I think that really would almost make it appear as if it's like a covered outdoor area, but the glass does provide some extra usage throughout the year. So because of those issues, those elements, I don't believe there's a negative aspect to this property or to these variances. But I do believe that several goals of the municipal land use law are advanced, specifically goals G and I. So goal G is to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of uses in order to meet the needs of the citizens. I think the aerial image sort of drives that point home the most. This property is very, very limited with respect to outdoor space. The cul-de-sac lots at least have more side yards than this property has. Again, this is probably the most irregular shape in the entire subdivision, and it also happens to be the smallest. So the question is, how do you provide some outdoor space when you're within the constraints of what we're dealing with? And then goal I is to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. I think the inclusion of all glass, no solid walls as part of the proposal, really drive home the fact that it's going to be an aesthetic element, and it's not going to overwhelm any of the adjacent properties. Again, it's going to have the appearance of almost being an open structure. So for these reasons, I believe the C2 criteria can be adopted or established for these variances. Moving on to the use variance or the D4 variance for floor area ratio. When seeking a D4 variance, the applicant must demonstrate that the site can accommodate the problems typically associated with a floor area larger than what is permitted. Some of those problems are typically need for additional off-street parking, massing where it feels like the structure is overwhelming the lot, or stormwater runoff from the increased lot coverage. For those examples, for instance, there's going to be no impact from an off-street parking standpoint because this is a three-season room. This doesn't increase the number of bedrooms. It doesn't increase the occupancy of the home. It just creates a better outdoor space. From a massing perspective, again, the entire structure is going to be wrapped in glass. I think that will allow it to blend in with the area without feeling like it's overwhelming the property or the adjacent properties. And then from a stormwater runoff standpoint, again, we're talking about an increase of 1.4%, and there's an inlet within 25 feet of the rear property line. So I don't envision any real detriment associated with the increase in the floor area ratio from the additional structure. So for these reasons, I believe the property is actually can support the increased floor area ratio, and again, I believe it would advance goals G and I of the municipal land use law. And then lastly, I did review the 2011 Edison Township Master Plan Reexamination Report. And I'll read a snippet from that section. And I'm reading from the recommended amendments to the Edison Township Development Regulations as it pertains to residential districts. So the township as a whole has an interest in finding the best protection from overdevelopment with the least restriction so as to minimize the cost and time required to make simple upgrades to existing dwellings. Otherwise, such regulation works against the planning objective of maintaining stable residential districts. So I really think that's sort of what we're here for this evening. The property is irregularly shaped and extremely undersized. And what we're proposing is a relatively small addition to accommodate a sunroom on top of an existing deck. While this may be more than a quote unquote simple upgrade, I do believe these are the types of improvements that really help maintain stable residential neighborhoods. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Wilder? Maybe not so much a question, but a statement. I'm assuming you received the zoning report board review?
Yes, we have,
Yeah.
and we'll comply to the conditions.
Yeah, I did want to get a record that one of the asterisk items on that indicates that the proposed sunroom enclosure does not exceed 750 square feet. Okay. So, having said that, does the board have any questions of Mr. Wilder? Yes,
I just
Mr.
wanted
Skibar.
to reiterate, I guess, the new structure is not going to protrude out any further than any existing structure that's already on the property, correct?
That is correct. It will extend to the limit of the existing deck.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Wilder?
Yeah, so you are telling me that increase is only 1.4%?
So the structure is, as proposed, is 10 by 17, 140 square feet, 170 square feet.
And what's your current floor plate?
The current FAR is 32.6%.
Correct, but what is your floor plate now? What is your footprint?
The footprint or the floor area ratio? I don't have the footprint of the home. I can tell you what the FAR is, though. The total FAR in square footage is 3,500.
Yeah, I think the existing was.
1554.
Right.
If you had 1554, 180 square feet, it's not 1.2%.
Right. Well, the 1554 is the ground floor. So
Correct.
The township calculates floor area ratio with the ground floor, the second floor, the garage, any habitable attic space, or the sunroom. So
That's how you came up with 1.4% increase only?
So the increase is a function of what is proposed divided by the lot area. So when you take 170 square feet and you divide it by the lot area,
Correct.
it's 1.4%.
Okay, so you're increasing 1.4% of the existing non-compliant FAR.
That is correct.
Okay, right.
Okay, any other questions of Mr. Wilder? None? Mr. Wiley?
If I could have a moment just to discuss something that was raised during the hearing from my client.
Sure, go ahead. And then I'll go out to the public.
Okay.
glad I bought this. On my neck. You have a jacket, heavier jacket, I don't. I'm sorry.
It's so cold. It's like freezing. It was not this cold before. What happened?
Is it cold like this upstairs?
Freezing. I think they want to freeze us out.
Colder there than here. It's more colder in the center than here.
Really? I think even the back's warmer than this. This is.
Yeah, the back is warmer. And I see, I can't wear a heavy jacket like that because our office isn't that cool. So I gotta,
Try to pass hot potato.
Balancing act, isn't it?
the last time we had that really bad heat wave, our air conditioner was only working at 50% because it needed a part.
But he would be with that. On top of it.
When it's not working. We should bring some.
Yeah, the next time.
That's a nice architectural design.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah, you put, right now it's lost space. Yeah, it's just a freaking platform. That's what I'm saying. Unless they have a slider here or something.
I pulled this out of the back of my refrigerator.
That's
and
funny.
it's all frozen. Like all the way in the far back.
Wow. Refrigerator gets that cold?
Yeah, in the back, way in the back. Like,
I do
you
too.
put things right up against the back wall. Like cold air comes down.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
I'm assuming they're discussing, and while they're discussing, I'll ask the board if they would like to have any kind of discussion as to their feelings. Yeah, Mr. Skibar?
Madam Chair, I understand that, again, with the excess in the FAR, but I think just looking at the nature of this structure, I think it's less impactful unless it was a full addition. So I don't necessarily have a problem.
Yeah, I sure don't have a problem with it, especially since it's all glass and it will be see-through. So, anyone else like to add anything? Yes, Mr. Barone?
Am I talking to Peter? Am I talking?
Yeah, you're just generally talking.
I would agree with my colleague. I don't see this as obtrusive beyond the existing deck. And I would not be opposed to the request. That is my opinion for the same reasons that Peter has indicated.
And in talking to my client, he, basically felt that it wouldn't reduce the FAR by fractions of fractions, but it would have an impact on his ability to use the room if he shrunk it more than 17 by 10. So he would like to have it based on 17 by 10.
Okay, with that, I'll go out to the public, okay?
Yes.
Anyone within 200 feet of the property wanting to be heard? Anyone outside of 200 feet of the property wanting to be heard? Okay, there being none, I'll close the case. Almost broke my gavel. And I'll ask for a motion, please.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Skibar.
I'll make a motion to approve. And again, typically, in excess of an FAR, I do think can be problematic. In this case, I think the structure isn't going to protrude or impose on anything that isn't already existing. I think it'll be, a considerable benefit to the homeowner, and taking into consideration the undersize and shape of the lot, I have no problem approving this.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call, please, Cassandra?
Mr. Skibar,
Yes on the motion.
Mr. O'Gorman,
Yes, on the motion.
Mr. Barone,
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chabra,
Yes, under motion.
Mr. Dave,
No on the motion.
and Chairwoman Federick.
Yes on the motion, and I'll add that there were no objectors present.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Wiley.
much.
Case number Z27, 2022, Tracy Chichaki, 87 Winthrop Road, Edison, New Jersey, 08817, Section 37, 4.16. Bulk variance sought for compliance on a front and rear deck constructed without prior approvals. Deck coverage permitted is 4% or 273 square feet. Proposed is 7.78% or 542 square feet. Affected property is located in the RB zone, designated as block number 1138, lot number 5 on the Edison Township tax map. All paperwork is in order.
Mr. Chaki, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
Tracy Chikoki.
Oh, good evening, ma'am. I have read your letter to the zoning board, so I think it's on record if you would like to read it, or if you would like to summarize it, so this way the public that's watching knows the background that you explained to us.
Sure. We hired a contractor to do some work on our property. Part of it was building a front deck and rear deck. We asked him every step of the way whether or not we needed permits for the projects, and he showed us on what we thought to be Edison Township letterhead information about how it was not necessary for permits for the projects that we were doing. We were lied to by him. We lost a great deal of money to him after he disappeared when the inspector showed up. So needless to say, we've been going through a little bit of a nightmare with this. The decks have already been mostly constructed before the work was stopped. If they have to be removed, we don't know what we're going to do. Like I said, financially, this has been a little bit of a struggle dealing with. We just want to beautify our home and make a nice space for our family to be able to join outside our grown children and our 4 grandchildren. We like to spend a lot of outdoor time in the yard. I did provide some photographs of the property and what is happening. The deck is actually level with the ground. It's more of like a patio space. It used to be pavers in that area. We decided to replace that area with the Trex decking material. So the area used to be our patio.
Do you have pictures?
I don't have pictures of the before.
I'm
I
sorry.
have the
okay.
pictures of what we have now.
Okay.
Our yard is a little askew, so it's level with the yard, but then it's a step down. It's actually 13 inches high at one section, so it's on the ground.
Give us a minute. We'll work our way down looking at the pictures. This way, if there's any questions.
Cassandra, were these pictures submitted with the application?
Okay, sorry, took a minute to turn on. No, so she dropped them off after the application was submitted, so it wasn't submitted as part of the packet. So I think we should probably mark it in.
We're going to have to mark it in. So I'm going to mark, let me just, when they make their way down here, I'll mark them.
Okay.
Is this one of them?
Yeah.
This is, for the purposes of zoning, this is considered a floating deck. It's not-
Floating deck?
Obviously, because there's no stairs here to it. It's right on the ground, so it floats with the ground. So we consider this in zoning a floating deck.
Thank you.
Okay, let me just count them. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10. I have 11 pictures here. I'm going to mark them as A1. When were they taken?
When were the photographs taken?
Yes.
They were taken last week.
Okay, so they were taken last week by you?
Yes.
Okay.
They were taken on the cell phone.
Okay, and they depict the way the floating deck is right now, at what stage it's completed and such. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, could you repeat
This
that?
this is depicting the floating deck as it exists right now, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so it's not fully complete, but that's what these pictures depict, correct?
That is correct. That is what it currently looks like at my property.
Cassandra, when they make it back to you, if you want to staple them.
Okay.
You want to do it that way? Yeah, go ahead. There's not that much left to do. No, oh, we're trying to fit it in. Okay. Looking at the pictures of the part that isn't done, when it is completely done, in effect, it squares off the back. So if it wasn't completely done, it would really be more of a detrimental look to the back. You know what I'm saying? In other words, if and when we approve it and it's finished, it gives a squared look to the house and it gives it a good look. And if we were not to approve it and it would stop where it is right now, it would give it a I can't speak this evening, a detrimental look. In other words, it would be ugly.
It would be.
Yes, okay. So having said that and taken so much time to say that, I will pass this back down and ask the board if they have any other questions. It's been a long day, and I think I'm tongue twisted. Yes, Mr. Skibar?
Actually, Madam Chair, just, again, I guess the deck in the front is, I guess there are no other decks like that in the neighborhood. Were there pavers or what was there prior to that?
Prior to that, it was pavers. You could see where the back door is. It was actually a step down, and it was pavers.
No, I'm sorry, the front, in the front of the house?
Oh, on the front?
Yes.
Oh, the front of the house, it was actually, that entire area was concrete. It was like a little step out the front door and then a step down to like a concrete area. The Trex decking material in the front was just replacing what was like the little concrete area out front. we didn't go onto the grass or anything. It was just already like the little front area,
Okay, thank you.
but done in pavers.
Okay. Any other, yes, Mr.
Madam
Chairman?
Chair?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
concrete.
Yeah, I drove up and down Winthrop, and I didn't see any property in that entire neighborhood with the front deck like that. That would be my only concern. It just, I drove down the street. I drove the entire neighborhood in my car the other day, and I didn't see any house with a front deck similar to this. So,
Part of the issue is pavers are impervious. And for the purpose of this application and other deck applications, they're pervious, so they allow water to go through. Whereas pavers do not allow water to go through. And that's one of the reasons that we, like to see decks of this nature where the water can go through. And we save our pervious coverage.
Actually, I'm sorry, Jim, but I believe you said prior, on the front of the house, it was a concrete slab?
Yes.
Where the decking is, so there weren't pavers, so I guess, does that?
Well, concrete and pavers are the same. They're impervious.
Okay,
So we look at concrete, same way we look at brick pavers. Water cannot go through.
Understood.
Here, water is permitted to go through, and it saves the pervious coverage for the purposes of storm water and site improvement permits and stormwater management.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, thank you, Jim. You
Sure,
answered
Jim.
my concern. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the board?
Just want to comment.
Yep, sure. Go ahead, Mr. Barone.
Based on the conversation between Jim Ayotte and Peter, I think what you did in the front was an improvement, as Jim indicated. So I see that as you moved in the right direction, helping the situation.
Even though it was a lot of aggravation. So, having said of that,
Actually,
any, yeah,
Actually, just one more question. On the plan here, you indicate a new asphalt driveway and new concrete sidewalk. Was it the same contractor that did all of that?
Yes, it was the same gentleman who, he tore apart my property. He started everything at once, and I was kind of like, what's happening here? And then, you know the rest. You know where I'm here now.
yeah, you're here.
It's been, we were living without a driveway, without sidewalk. So our driveway's finally in, but anyway.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
He
any
tore
other?
it up and
Yeah.
disappeared.
Any other questions? None? Okay, I'll go out to the public. Anyone within 200 feet of the property wanting to be heard? Anyone outside of 200 feet of the property wanting to be heard? There being none, I'll close the case and go to the board, please, for a motion. Mr. Skibar.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I understand your situation. Typically, again, I do have concerns when work is done in violation before coming to the board. But in this case, I don't think that you were negligent. I believe you put your faith in the contractor. And I think this will help improve your home, and hopefully you get past this. I will make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Cassandra?
Mr. Skibar,
Yes on the motion.
Mr. O'Gorman,
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Barone,
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chabra,
Yes, under motion.
Mr. Dave,
Yes on the motion.
and Chairwoman Frederick.
Yes on the motion. Okay, good evening, thank you. Hope the rest of this goes better for you, and you get to enjoy it.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care, stay safe. No, we keep them. Yeah, we have to keep them.
Okay. Case number Z26, 2022, Pavitra Ramalingam, 5 Royal Drive, Edison, New Jersey, 08820, Section 37, 4.16 and 376317. Bulk variances to construct a 1,020 square foot deck attached to the rear of the existing single-family dwelling. Max deck coverage permitted is 3% or 347.6 square feet. Proposed is 8.8% or 1,020 square feet. Rear yard deck required is 30% of the lot depth or 30 feet. Proposed is 3 feet. Affected property is located in the RBB zone designated as Block 500, Lot number 59 on the Edison Township Tax Map. All paperwork is in order.
Mr. Ramalangan, would you raise your Right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
Pavitra Ramalingam.
Okay, and I see there's someone seated to your left. Is he
He's-
going to be testifying as well?
Yes, he's my
Yes, I do.
husband's spouse.
Okay, can I have your full name?
Manikandan Damodaran.
Okay, I'm going to probably need you to spell that in a moment. Would you raise, you can put your hand down, ma'am. Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And can I please have the spelling of your name?
It's Manikandan.
Okay. And your last name is?
Damodaran.
Okay. I have the spelling. Thank you.
Okay, please tell the board what you would like to do and why.
We'd like to first thank the board for giving us the opportunity to hear our case. We have been living in Edison for 5 years. We really like this neighborhood. So we have a deck at the back of the house. It's due for replacement. We have 2 daughters who enjoy playing outside, so we just wanted to create a safe space for them to play, and so we wanted to replace this existing deck with a new one. We are hoping that this will create a better environment, as well as we really like the design, so we are hoping that it will improve the appeal of the neighborhood as well.
Question, the deck that is there now, I'm assuming, is the one that you're going to be putting up and replacing it the same size, or is the one that you're replacing it with is larger?
Larger.
Okay. Do you have anything that shows, what we're looking at, the survey shows the existing deck, and I can see on one side is the chimney, so I assume, which way are you going out further? Are you going depth-wise or lengthwise? Because there's also steps there.
It's both sides. The deck starts from, the existing deck starts from the chimney. It goes to the right side and it ends where the steps are. We have drawn the outline of the newer deck. It just goes from the end of the property.
Oh, okay, is that what that is? Okay, I didn't realize that was it. Yes, okay, fine. Okay, great, all right, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, does the board have any questions of the applicants?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. O'Gorman.
how high is the proposed deck? What is the height off the floor, from the ground?
Same height as the existing deck, I think 4.5, 4 feet.
4 feet?
Yeah.
What is behind your property? I assume there's another home behind your property, neighbors?
Yeah, there is a neighbor, but this deck, where it is going closer to the property, is the farthest corner of all other properties. We have also put a 6-foot fence around our property.
Okay.
The closest house is on the left-hand side. It's towards it's all the properties are cul-de-sac. There is a neighboring cul-de-sac and there is a property.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions of the applicant from the board? Yes, Mr. Chabar?
Yes. So this survey is from 2017, if I'm correct?
Yes.
So the chain link fence is not there anymore, correct?
The chain link fence is not in our property. We put vinyl fencing all around our property. That's newly installed.
Okay, so you're 6 feet tall?
Yeah.
6 feet tall, yeah.
And the closest point from the deck to the fence is 3 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, that's only on the deck is not a straight deck because it has a octagonal shape that extends towards the fence, and only the place where it goes closer to the fence, that's where it is getting closer. That's because the property is in a cul-de-sac. If you look at the survey, because it is located in the cul-de-sac and the way it is constructed, we don't have much rear yard. We have a lot of side yard. So in order to construct a deck like this, the place where it extends like an octagon, that goes closer to the fence.
So the closest part to the fence and the deck is 3 feet. You said the deck is 4.5 feet high.
Yeah.
The fence is 6 feet high.
Yeah.
So it kind of defeats the purpose of the fence, right? Because if an individual is standing on top of the deck, they're going to see over the fence.
Right, the place where it is going that close to the fence, it is the farthest from all the other properties. There is typically not many people there. Like it's the farthest point of all properties around it. So the fence is mainly for privacy around the other sections.
Okay. The only reason I'm saying that 3 feet is very minimal from the fence, and it defeats the purpose of even having the fence. If you have future new neighbors, they're going to have someone sitting on the deck and overlooking the fence.
Uh, Basically, we had the fence because we have two small kids, so that we wanted to make sure they don't, like, go around. But because there is a storm drainage to that end too, because it's a cul-de-sac and there is a storm drainage over there, so that was the purpose of us putting the fence, like, initially. And right now, since we were replacing the original deck, the design was as such. In one point of the hexagon hits it is close to that part. So
Question, who designed the fence? Is there any reason why it goes out like that? I mean, if you just, instead of it going like that and like that, you just went across like that, you would be much farther from the fence and deck, I'm sorry, the deck would be much farther than the 3 feet and more in line towards the 30 feet, which is the rear yard setback. Is there any reason why it's that shape?
initially, when we had submitted, it was it was further inside, but it was going this way, crossing the easement, and we were rejected the application. So that's when we reduced the deck from actual original application to make it smaller and to adjust it. To adjust the square footage. So when we're trying to adjust the square footage and have the hexagon shape, what happened is, like, we lost on the 3 feet. So the initial application when we had submitted, it was like elongated, but it was going into the easement. So we tried to do adjustment to bring down the coverage, but in that process and to keep the design, it.
Okay, but do you understand what I'm asking? I'm not sure if I explained it clearly, but you have it, like the round part of it like that, it goes out and then comes around, and if you just had it more of a circle, you would be more feet away from you would be more in line with the rear yard setback. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Madam Chair, are you talking about the...
Let me come and show you what I'm talking about.
What's the current size of the wood deck? The current wood deck is what the size?
22 by...
Square footage.
20... I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers right now. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
So this will be maybe 2 or 3 feet. So then that becomes 5 or 6 feet.
I see. I see. Madam Chair, one more thing we could do is, the 3 feet is a concern. We could reduce the height of this section to 2 feet closer to the ground.
Right, that just goes straight across here.
Yeah.
So this way. Ask.
Very long.
Oh, it does not have any of that?
Yeah. What happened currently?
Okay, ask him if, he has another suggestion.
Can we put it on the record first and then you can show him? You want to put it on the record first
Yeah,
and then show
so-
him?
Told him to ask him.
Yeah, I believe your deck is moving, it's 15 by 20 roughly. You have 347 square foot. So I'm just assuming it's a 15 foot out, 20 foot wide, roughly. You want to square it off, 15 foot, go all the way up to the corner, the other side, full width, 20 foot out or 15 foot, whatever the width is, extend it all the way to the other side of the corner, square it off, instead of making odd shape. That would bring your setback from 3 foot to maybe 5 or 6 foot, maybe 7 foot.
That's mainly.
You know what I'm talking
No,
about, right?
can we propose, if it is okay, we could lower the section of the deck that is going closer to the fence to 2 feet instead of 4 feet?
We need to bring it back away from the fence.
Okay.
Not as much.
We would need to think about it.
Well, if
Because
you,
your current deck is 347 square foot. You're almost triple the size. You're making 1,020 square foot.
We wanted to build a
Yeah,
bigger
bigger
deck.
space for-
Mr. Skibar?
Actually, I think the backyard, is it level? Or what's the nature of the backyard? Is there a,
It's slightly graded so that if you look at the right-hand corner, there is an inlet for the stormwater drain. So it is slightly graded, so if there is rainwater, it just flows through to the inlet.
but is the backyard usable? If the deck wasn't there, would the backyard be usable?
Right now, it's not. That's why we wanted to build the deck.
I guess to Mr. Dave's point, you're talking about 673 square feet beyond what is, permissible. So that would,
So, may I?
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Let,
DeVito.
let me ask you, you have 2 steps there, 2 set of steps. What are those? One is coming out of the house and one is separate for the deck?
No, the second one, the one that is closer to the home, it's actually going down to the basement.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
And the
there's no
one-
way, you cannot extend on that side?
No.
No,
Because
we
you have
cannot
basement
extend because the
access.
step is actually blocking.
I don't know what else to say.
I mean, when the designer proposed,
Yeah.
we really liked this, I mean, the way he said and sold the dream project to us, so we really liked the way the design came through, and like with all the cuts and the hexagonal shapes, so that's why we kept the shape the way it was. So we thought this would.
Then you need to bring it back in. You want to keep the shape, bring it back in.
Okay.
Use the current deck and then extend from current deck, not go further out and then extend that hexagon, whatever you have. Bring it back down. Bring the size down if that is the case.
No, there is a easement on the right side. We couldn't go much on there is a 20
No,
feet.
we are not asking you to go further out. Bring it back. You know, you have a hexagon there and there's another strip that you're extending the wood deck, correct? Lose that strip and bring it further back. So you increase your setback from 3 foot to maybe 6, 7 foot.
Okay. But the setback is only for the deck, right? If we reduce the deck closer to the
No,
ground.
you had to bring it back in toward the house.
I assume somebody did it for you and did the calculations? You had someone do that? It would have been nice if that person was here because we could have gotten this all straightened out now. I think maybe I would suggest is go back to that person and tell them what the board's concerns are and that we would like to see it smaller. If you can keep it the same design, but just make it smaller coming in, so this way it will give you 6, 7 feet or even 8 feet from the rear. So the rear yard setback becomes 6 or 8 feet. That would be better. And if you can do that, then we'll give you another date to come back. And you won't have to renotice because I'll announce it now. So do you want to do that?
Yes, we'd like to
Yeah,
do that.
okay, fine. I assume the board is okay with that? Okay, okay, great. Okay, so Cassandra, having said that,
Yeah.
and if the person who's doing the calculations have any questions, let them call Mr. Ayotte because he's here at the meeting and he can explain what we're trying to get at, okay?
Okay. will do.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, so having said that, when can we put
I can
them
put
on?
them on September 20th.
Is September 20th okay for you?
Yeah, that works for us.
Okay, okay, so now, I'm not going out to the public. The applicants are going to come back with revised plans. They will not have to renotice, and they will be on our agenda for September 20, 2022. And again, no renotice is necessary. Okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. So if your person has any questions, have them call Mr. Ayotte, and we'll see you on the 20th, and you don't have to renotice, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Case number Z30, 2022, Steve Belford, 22 Comstock Road, Edison, New Jersey, 08817, Section 37631. Bulk variances sought to construct an in-ground swimming pool and walkway. Max lot coverage permitted is 40% and proposed is 51.6%, where existing is 46.4%. Max accessory coverage required is 10% and proposed is 24%. Affected property is located in the RB zone designated as Block 1146, Lot number 11 on the Edison Township Tax Map. All paperwork is in order.
Mr. Belford, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you please state your full name for the record?
It's Stephen C. Belford Jr., Stephen with a PH.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Belford.
Good evening,
Please tell us what you would like to do and why.
I would like to put in an in-ground swimming pool for a place for my children to have some fun.
Okay. This may sound like a dumb question, but I'm looking at the survey that we have, and I see the house, and I see a hot tub and 2 sheds. But does anybody see where the pool is? Am I just missing it? Oh, okay, so I'm looking at this instead of this. Okay. Okay, so does the board have any questions of Mr. Belford? Mr. O'Gorman.
Madam Chair, yes. Looking at the pool, why isn't the pool center of the house? Why is it off to the side?
We do have some dogs as well, and we thought if we could get it as close to the fence as permitted, that we could save some grass area to have the dogs be able to do what they need to do, and also the idea of maybe fencing in the pool and hot tub area with a wrought iron fence in the future. We thought that might be more feasible if we faded it to one side.
Any other questions of Mr. Belford? Let's see. Maximum area. The walkway around the pool, how much is that in feet? From the end of the pool to the end of the walkway?
So it'll be a bullnose paver and then an additional 3 feet of paver beyond the edge of the pool on all 4 sides.
And I assume that's the least that you can put there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The patio will probably, in all likelihood, tie into the existing patio that's already out of the back door of the house. So on that side of the house, closest to the house, that side of the pool, it'll be significantly larger than 3 feet.
Okay, so the patio goes right up to the pool then?
Yes, ma'am. The last paver closest to the pool is a bullnose paver. It has like a rounded edge, so it's not a hard edge that you could stub your toe on.
Okay.
It's a rounded edge that'll meet up right to the frame of the pool.
Is there any, may I?
Yes, go ahead,
Is there
Mr.
any
Wood.
height difference between the pavers and the surrounding area around the pool?
No, sir. It'll all be level and flat.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. DeVay?
Okay, so your maximum, the lot coverage, you can bring it down. Some of the pavers, can you put the pervious pavers?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you ask it again?
So you have pavers around your swimming pool deck, correct?
There will be, yes.
There will be. So can you make one side pervious pavers? So that will bring your lot coverage down.
So I may not be familiar with the product you're talking about, but my understanding is that a paver in itself is partially pervious. So if you have 100 square feet, only 50 of it counts as impervious coverage.
Correct.
So is there a product that exists that's more pervious than a standard paver? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
I don't know that exists or not. I'm an electrician. I don't really know about pavers. So.
Okay, there is. It's how they're laid.
Okay.
So if they put it, your standard joint is tight with pavers.
Correct.
There's nothing in between them. If you can spread the joints out in one area, as my colleague is proposing, that'll give you more pervious coverage, and that'll drop that figure down from 24% to 20%, say. But if you spread them out, instead of a tight joint, open the joint up an inch, 3/4 of an inch, enough for water to get into. When the kids are splashing or anyone's splashing in the pool, then you have a pervious paver system.
Understood. Is there a downside to that as far as settling goes? More?
No.
Okay.
Not if it's done.
Or toe stubbing or anything like that?
No, I mean, you're going to fill
it.
it in with gator sand or pervious sand, so water can always go through. It's not a gap. You're going to fill the gap with the gator sand that they sell at the different.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Unless
Your
you want to
mason should know. If
reduce
he's a mason, he should know.
That's the easiest way to just meet the code requirements and reduce your lot coverage. And, or unless you want to reduce the size of your pool, but, you can keep the pool size same and then
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
make some compromise.
We
on-
paid
on
for the pool 2 years ago. They've been holding
And
on to
then
it, so.
Also, your maximum accessories coverage is also from 10% to 24% because you have a current existing hot tub and you have 2 sets there. Do you need 2 sets? Because now you're going to add also the pool filter and equipment as well. Do you need 2 sets or you can lose 1 set?
Well, I have equipment and chemicals and stuff for a pool, for a hot tub, and then lawn equipment. So I kind of do. Plus, I also own an electrical contracting business, and I keep some supplies and materials in there. So
How many garages you have?
just a one-man show. That's it.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so have we gotten to the point where if he can get the maximum accessory coverage down to 20%, we're happy with that? Is the board happy with that?
So it's a
Is
40%
that what you said,
required.
Mr. DeVay? The 24 down to 20, or is that what Mr.?
No, that is for the accessories. The maximum lot coverage is 40% required, which is 51%. So that would go down from 51% to maybe 46%.
It's 46 now. It's 46.4 now.
No, it's a 40 now.
No, it says that the maximum lot coverage permitted is 40, proposed is 51.6, but existing is 46.4. So he's existing at 46.4. But I thought we were trying to get,
So 46.4 would become about 48 probably.
okay. And that is doing what Mr.
And
Ayon
why would that
suggested
be?
with,
Yeah, correct, Chairman,
Yeah.
Chairwoman.
I don't care.
Sorry, Rose.
It doesn't bother me.
Yes, that would affect his lot coverage.
Okay.
Currently, you have no swimming pool there, correct?
That's correct.
You have pavers there? What do you have?
Not in the area where the pool is proposed, but I do have pavers. They should be shown on the survey directly out the back door. It's probably about 8 feet off the back door, the full length of the house.
Yeah, but even if after adding the pool, you're increasing your lot coverage only by 4%?
I didn't run the numbers, and the gentleman that did is not present.
Does not seem right because you are adding the whole pool and all the pavers around, that should increase your lot coverage more than 4%. It could be wrong.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Skibar.
Mr. Ray, I guess I understand what you're saying. So does the pool contribute to the maximum lot coverage?
Yes, it's accessory.
So the pool and the pavers, you're only increasing by 4% of your maximum lot
doesn't make
coverage. I think
sense.
that's the,
No, I understand the question. I just don't have the answer. I have an engineer who ran those numbers for me and prepared that paperwork. So I'm going off
Well,
what
I
he put
guess
on
I
there.
mean,
now- yeah.
I'm sorry, Madam
Yeah.
Chair.
I guess now that we have this situation, as in the last situation, I think you have to go back to the person who ran the numbers for you and have him call Mr. Ayotte, so Mr. Ayotte can explain what the board is looking for, so he can rerun the numbers, so we have everything correct on record. And then we'll also give you a new date, and you don't have to renotice.
Understood.
And hopefully, at the same time, if the numbers are higher, you're going to have to find a way to bring them down a little bit, okay?
Understood.
Okay. Is the board okay with that? Yes, Mr.
Madam
Skibar?
Chair, just to clarify that point, I guess, and I'm only going to speculate that whoever did the calculation did not include the pool as lot coverage. That's
Yeah.
sound, I mean, which again, then I could see maybe a 4% increase, but
I have a question for Mr. Ayotte.
Yes.
Does the type of pool change whether or not it counts as coverage?
No,
Okay.
Above ground wood, no?
that's accessory.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you should have your engineer give Mr. Ayotte a call, so we can all be in step, and this way everything gets done, and it is what it is. Okay, so now having said that, Cassandra?
I could put this one on September 20th too. We could do the both of them as old business
Yeah,
before anything else.
Yeah, because it'll only be like 3 or 4 minutes
Yeah.
apiece. Okay. All right, for anyone watching, this case is also going to be carried, so Mr. Belford can come back with more information and revised numbers. And it's going to be carried to September 20th, and there will be no renotice required. Okay? So we'll see you on the 20th, Mr. Belford, and have your engineer give Mr. Ayotte a call, okay?
We will do. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you so much, sir. Stay safe, stay healthy. Okay, now we have to go off the record for a closed session, and then we'll come back on the record and we will adjourn. So having said that, we're going to do a closed session off the record. Thank you. Ben?